Hey, it's Tyler from Midnight Sound Academy, part of Midnight Sound Studios in Alaska. Let's get straight to it. I have been gone for a few years, guys, but I'm back and we are revamping the channel. We're going to do some new stuff, and before I start, throwing courses out there for people to, really learn crazy stuff, I just want to go over some few basic things and put out a few freebies for everybody to have. Anyways, we're going to master a track today. We're going to master a song called Noir, which is a client of mine. We're one of the largest studios in Anchorage, Alaska, which is a smaller music scene, but I've amassed over the years over about 500 clients, and this is one of the people that I regularly work with, at least this year, and his artist name is Noir, and this song is called Noir, and he's a French rapper, and he's really good. We're going to be deep diving a mix of his as well. It's not going to be this song. We're going to deep dive a mix where he got all the stems, and we ran it through analog, and also used a ton of plugins, and we're gonna go crazy deep for you guys. But this is a recent song he had me record for him. Also one that he brought the stems for. I mixed all the stems on this and recorded vocals. I think he recorded it on a U87. And pretty much we're just gonna kind of show you guys how to master a track. This one is pretty simple. A lot of times I'll dig in and do a bunch of EQ. I kind of did that in the beginning on this, and I messed it up, so I pulled back on some things. But I'm gonna kind of go over that with you guys and show you what's up. So here we go. Let's just listen to the mix. Oh, and before we get started, when you're mastering, you're gonna bring and this you don't have to be in Pro Tools. You can be in any DAW that you want to be in. But when you're mastering, you're gonna have the mix, and then you're gonna have a copy of the mix right here. So I've got it labeled mix and master. What I want is to be able to solo. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do here. Most DAWs have an option like this. In Pro Tools, what you're gonna go to do, if you're in Pro Tools, is you're gonna go to Options, Solo Mode, XOR. And now when I solo this, it switches for me. See that? Pretty cool. So now I can just flip right back between the mix and the master. All right, let's listen.
Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales, du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir, je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé.
Okay, that should give you a good idea of what is going on here. We mixed that a week or two ago. It's the second track I've worked on with him. And this is mix number 3. Mix number 3, a lot of times the first mix isn't the right one. And a lot of times I don't even master stuff for clients. I'm not, big on actually doing my own mastering and mastering my own mixes. Sometimes people ask me to do it, and I will. But I do prefer to send it out, even if it's to something like Aria, which is actually real analog mastering. If you haven't looked it up, look up Aria mastering. It's the only thing that can actually get you real human-like mastering. It's still a robot, but it's way different than all the other digital mastering services. And then having somebody who knows a little bit about mastering, like me, do it digitally, or having a mastering engineer do it digitally is the next best thing. I know how to master a song, but I'm not a mastering engineer. I'm a mixing engineer, a record producer, an instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, country artist, all those things. But I don't specialize in mastering. That said, I know how to get the job done, and I know how to do it well, and that's what I'm going to go through today. But if you really want the best, go to a real mastering engineer. Don't try to do it yourself. If you're trying to become a mastering engineer, sure, watch this video and, use some of this knowledge to get yourself where you want to go. But this is just knowledge that I've amassed over the years watching other mastering engineers do their thing. And a lot of mastering engineers don't do a lot. That's what we got to be careful of. I did a little too much on the first master, and the client was like, no, something's off here. And I heard it too when I played it in the car, and so I had to go fix my mistakes. And that happens.
Obscurité.
All right, we're gonna go to the master, and I'm gonna go ahead and just turn all this on, and then I'm gonna switch from the mix to the master so you can hear what's going on. Here we go.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé. Du matin au soir, mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé. Du côté obscur de la force, plus rien ne bat plus dans mon torse. Je suis loin du soleil de la Corse. J'ai gravé ma peine dans l'écorce. Il n'y a vraiment plus d'espoir. Je ne sais vraiment plus qui croire. Mon ennemi me fait face dans le miroir. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose, mais moi je vois la vie en noir. Certains veulent.
So I had some levels set a little differently here. He wanted it mastered for Spotify, so I had to kind of finagle with some levels a little bit because he wanted it specifically to be hitting 14 LUFS, negative 1 dB true peak. So if you're really going for those levels, yes, there's a way to get there. But I'm not going to necessarily master this for Spotify. I want to overall just master this for kind of everything so that it sounds good everywhere. And I'm going to try to hit 9 to 10 LUFS. Here we go. We're going to start with some EQ. I'm going to take all this off, and we're going to master this thing from the ground up. Kind of show you what I did here. We're going to turn this off. The EQ.
Moi c'est loup noir, je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé. Du matin au soir, mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé. Du côté obscur.
All right, you can kind of hear what it's doing. We're not doing too much. Sometimes I'll reach for this knob and I'll cut, some frequencies here. I'll boost some frequencies here. But for this master, we're not doing that. We're boosting. I don't usually boost at 47 on a master, but when I was mastering this, right now I'm in headphones, but when I was mastering this, I was listening on my monitors, and we have really nice monitors here at Midnight Sound. By the way, please subscribe. This channel, I'd love to grow it and start teaching people more, and by you subscribing and liking the video, you're going to do a lot for us. If you want to check out our website, it's midnightsoundstudios.com. And we're starting the academy back up. We're going to be starting posting lots of training videos where you can really listen to songs that we've put out, that we've mixed for people, and learn how we did all that. So in the future, that's coming. Anyhow, Massive Passive. This is obviously a great mastering EQ. It's based on a real piece of hardware equipment that costs $7,000 to $10,000 to get your hands on one. And this plugin does a great job of emulating the real deal. What we're doing is we're boosting. You can either cut or boost. We're boosting a little bit of 47, which is just really low bass. And on my monitors, it sounded right. A lot of times in mastering, I'll boost 100, sometimes the 60 range. But 47, I'm just boosting a tad of 47, and it's pushing. And I've got it at kind of a tight curve there. Let's just go ahead and boost this so that you can really hear what it's doing. I'm going to take this off to 16K, which is the air. I'm also boosting, so let's do it and listen.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité.
Yeah, you can really hear that. As long as you're in some good headphones, you can hear that. I've got that about right there. Let's check this one.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir.
And I got this one at a wider curve here.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les
For those of you who are just learning mastering, there's no right or wrong way here. You can get any mastering EQ that you want to get. Manley is just one of them, and I really like this one from Universal Audio. It does a great job, but you don't have to start with this exact EQ. You can really use any EQ you want to start and just, focus. You don't have to use the exact frequency bands I'm using either. When I was mastering this originally, I used my ears, and I tried a bunch of different things, and this just ended up being what was the best, sounding result. Now, when I initially mastered this, I wanted to go through this with you guys, because like I said, I had to make some changes. I have a lot of plugins, and Kazrog is a company that just does great stuff. I got their Retro Stay Level, which they released recently, but I've been using their True Iron for a long time, and I bought True Dynamics as well, but I don't use that one very much. Their new Avalon mastering plugin is just pretty freaking insane. It's incredible, and it really gives me analog vibes. I have a ton of analog gear down here on my rack. SSL, API, Neve, Universal Audio, whole 9 yards. And I get the same feeling from this EQ when I start boosting stuff that I do from some of my other analog stuff. Even though this is modeled to be something completely different, it really does have a little magic in it. And because it's a new plugin and I like using it, I wanted to use it. But I'm more familiar with the Massive Passive because I've just been using it for longer. Anyhow, I tried to use this to boost some mid-range and some more top end on his session, and he basically all his vocals became too crispy and it just wasn't working. So you guys, you just got to be really careful. There's no right or wrong way to do any of this, but with mastering, it's little moves. It's nothing crazy. All right, we're doing little moves, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to mess around with this just so you can kind of hear what this does. But overall, him and I decided that we're not going to use this on the song. But sometimes I do use this.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir.
There's a frequency down here, and then this is the decibel level. I'm just boosting it like crazy right now. Actually, let's double boost that thing. That way we can just hear what it's doing.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu.
That's a nice frequency right there. I'm just using my ears. What turns out to be 1.6. That's a nice frequency to maybe open up the mid-range a little bit.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé. Du matin au soir, mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé.
It's super subtle, but it makes his vocal just a little more crispy. Crispy. Yeah, anyways, so we decided no on this. I did some other stuff with this too. Like I used, instead of cutting with the Massive Passive, I ended up cutting some frequencies down here. Like I said, we decided not to use this. A lot of times I do, but this song, he was just already so in love with the mix that I did for it. And I think just, it's one of those songs that the mix was good enough. Didn't need to be touched too much. I really am just adding a little bit of bass, a little bit of low end at 40, because it's, it's really just subtle. And then I'm just adding some air. And that's it. There's no EQ on this thing. Other than that, I don't think. Now we got Soothe, which a lot of people argue about Soothe, but I'll tell you what, it's the future. There ain't no other de-essing plugin that you can just put on a mix or on any vocal without having to really screw with it a lot, and it just works. I never want to go past -3. Even that's a little much for me. Moi c'est loup noir, je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales. Du matin au soir, les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé. Du matin au soir, mon esprit noir. Yeah, that's about right for me right there. It's just ever so slightly correcting some frequencies that might be a little harsh, but it's barely audible what it's doing. You can barely hear it. You can hear it, but barely. And if you're on good speakers or headphones, you should be able to hear what this is doing. Pro Q3. What am I doing with Pro Q3? If you look into all the major artists out there and you start analyzing their songs, this is something I learned a while ago, you start analyzing their songs and looking at what frequencies are popping out. Like if you just download a mastered song from YouTube right now and pop it through here and look at what's going on, you will see that there feels like there's a lot of bass, but there is not much going on under 40 hertz. Like the life and the thickness and just everything that makes the song pump and feel the way that it does is all above 40 hertz. And so it's interesting, right, that I'm boosting 47, but I'm actually taking it out. 47's right here, so I'm technically not taking too much of 47 out, just a tiny, tiny bit. But everything below here I'm taking out because there are some frequencies that exist over here, and there is stuff happening over here in the music, but it's all stuff that isn't even audible to the human ear. Most people don't even have subwoofers that can go down that low. Mine do, so I can hear it because we've got really good, subs in our speakers here. So I can hear, these frequencies, and when I'm mixing and when I'm mastering, a lot of times I am high passing the entire mix, sometimes to 20 or 30, sometimes all the way up to 40. And again, I'm using my ears. It just tightens up the bass. It allows me to boost the bass a little bit later. without muddying the waters. It's really something everybody should think about doing. I high pass a lot. I don't always compress when I'm mastering either. I have a SSL-G bus down here, and I tried that just for funsies, but I used that on the mix bus when I'm mixed, so I took that off, and I'm just using plugins, all in the box for this. Next, we have God Particle. This is super cool. Jason Joshua is the bomb diggity. He knows what people need. I use this as my main limiter when I mix. So this was my main limiter, and I pretty much keep it set like this, where it's 0. It's not limiting anything. Like, if anything, it's barely limiting. That way, it gives me headroom for mastering. But what this plugin really does, and I used to use the Sonics limiter for all my limiting duties, but I've switched to this because this has a feature that not only gives it some analog vibe and some warm vibe right when you turn it on, but what also happens is there's these green boxes here that you can see. And if you are already familiar with this plugin, then you already know. This just kind of gives you a baseline of, hey, this is where your low end and your bass should be sitting. It should be within this green box. If you're not in there, then your levels aren't right. This is where your mids should be sitting. This is where your highs should be sitting. And I use it when I'm mixing, and I also use it when I'm mastering, but I'm not really doing any limiting actually at all with this. All the limiting is going to be coming from Flatline, which is just one of many limiters. Again, you can use any limiter. You don't have to use the EQ that I'm using. You don't have to use the de-esser that I'm using. You don't have to use any of this stuff. Find your own mastering EQs that inspire you, whichever one that is, and use it. I love the Massive Passive, and a lot of other people do. It's on a lot of mastering desks. That EQ has been on a lot of songs, but as of others, right? There's GMLs, there's, SPL stuff is great. But again, I'm not a real mastering engineer. I'm capable of doing it and doing it well digitally, but, take it with a grain of salt, because I think I'm going to be able to make this track sound pretty good. But there's so much more to it. This is just a pretty brief, basic video here.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales du matin au soir.
As you can see,
et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité.
If anything, I've got a little too much bass and not enough high. So I can come over here now.
Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales du matin au soir. Les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé du matin au soir. Mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé. Du côté obscur de la force, plus rien ne bat plus dans mon torse. Je suis loin du soleil de la corde. J'ai gravé ma peine dans les corps. Il n'y a vraiment plus d'espoir. Je ne sais vraiment plus qui croire. Mon ennemi me fait face dans le miroir. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose.
I always have trouble with this one. This one's a tough one. All right, let's try to push a little more air into it.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je suis dans les profondeurs abyssales du matin au soir. Les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé du matin au soir. Mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé. Du côté obscur de la force, plus rien ne bat plus dans mon torse. Je suis loin du soleil de la Corse. J'ai gravé ma peine dans l'écorce. Il n'y a vraiment plus d'espoir. Je ne sais vraiment plus qui croire. Mon ennemi me fait face dans le miroir. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose, mais moi je vois la vie en noir. Certains veulent me faire voir rouge, mais moi je vois la vie en noir. Dehors, tout est blanc.
We're close. Let's get Flatline going.
Moi c'est loup noir. Je suis dans les.
This is a limiter. I really try not to hit more than 3 to 4 to 5 dB in mastering. I mean, even 5 is a lot. 3 to 4. We're gonna put this back. We're gonna put our output on -1 or thereabouts. Just some safety. The louder you are, the more the streaming services are going to turn you down. So if you can get a limiter that shows you LUFS and get it between 9 and 10, or if you're really mastering for Spotify, get it to 14. If you're hitting that number, -14 for Spotify, and that's why I have Flatline, you should be good. But there's still a lot more that goes into it. Again, this is just the basics.
Obscurité, moi c'est loup noir. Je vis dans les profondeurs abyssales du matin au soir. Les démons me parlent et leurs paroles n'ont rien d'amical. Obscurité, très peu d'espoir. Je crois pas qu'un jour je serai canonisé du matin au soir. Mon esprit noir, comme s'il avait été carbonisé. Du côté obscur de la force, plus rien ne bat plus dans mon torse. Je suis loin du soleil de la Corse. J'ai gravé ma peine dans l'écorce. Il n'y a vraiment plus d'espoir. Je ne sais vraiment plus qui croire. Mon ennemi me fait face dans le miroir. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie
I mean, we're hitting 7 dB of gain reduction, and it's still just catching the peaks. And that's because it's a pretty dynamic mix. I like mixing dynamically where, you know, it might start out quiet, and the beat was built this way anyways. And then it gets louder, and then the chorus rips, and you can just see the dynamics in this mix. So a mastering engineer might actually start cutting this up and trying to make these levels match slightly more before they go in and start limiting. Because really that's what you're doing when you're mastering, is you're pancaking the track so that even the quiet part is loud. But this should, you know, it should give you guys a good idea of what's really going on. Here we go. Here's the mix. And back to the master. Mix. So we've done all this stuff, and it's really, it's not that much different than the mix. It's louder. It hits a little harder. There's a tiny bit more bass, a tiny bit more top end, and that's it. That's all you're looking for. Sometimes when I'm mastering also, to give it a little warmth, I'll pop on the good old trusty Studer. The Studer A800. This thing. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose, mais moi je vois la vie en noir. Certains veulent me faire voir rouge. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Rien ne brille dans son regard noir. Certains voient la vie en rose, mais moi je vois la vie en noir. Certains veulent me. It just takes the edge off. It takes the edge off. Yeah, let's listen to that one more time. But I mean, hey, that's. If any of you guys are trying to learn mastering, this is a great place to start. Grab yourself an EQ. You want a little de-essing, maybe. You don't always need to use the de-esser in mastering. It all depends on how the mix sounds. It looks like I've got some red lights going off. I might have hit things a little too hard, but that's okay because I'm not doing the limiting in here. I'm not really clipping, even though you see the red lights. It's limiting over here and clipping here, which is what we want. So yeah, you know, the client liked it, and he's about to release it, and I hope that you guys were able to learn something. My name is Tyler. Again, you know, I'm one of the owners of Midnight Sound Studios in Anchorage, Alaska, and we're pretty much the only studio here that can get people level results. And if, you know, that's something that you're looking to learn to do for yourself, if you're an engineer or producer, please go check out our academy. The links will be below. The academy will be launching soon. But I'm always going to be dropping free content here on YouTube. And yeah, I really look forward to doing this again. If you guys have any questions or comments, I reply to all the questions and all the comments. And we're going to be talking about more fun stuff soon. Thanks for joining me, guys. And I look forward to the next one.